Hi everyone, this is going to be a slightly different video for me today. I saw that Carrie had done a video like this and I thought it might be a good thing to do one for this channel too. I've had this channel for nearly 4 years. There are 600 videos on it and there are nearly 45,000 of you subscribed, which is amazing. I'm aware that stumbling across a channel with so much back content is a bit intimidating when maybe you just want to know who the person is who runs the channel and what you can expect if you subscribe to the channel. So that's what this video is. If you already know who I am, I encourage you to stick around. You might find out something new, but also I'd like to have a chat with you in the comments section down below. So my name is Jen. Hi, as I'm filming this, I'm 31 years old. I'm from a small village in the northeast by the sea, sandwiched between Newcastle and Sunderland. I went to state school, then college, then went to Edinburgh University to do a degree in English literature. When I was there, I worked at the same time as a bookseller, and in total, I was a bookseller for 10 years. While I was doing that, I was also pursuing my dream career of being a writer, and I had my first book published when I was 24. As I said, I'm now 31 and I have 7 books published with 2 books coming out next year, and I'm currently working on other books as well. I've written non-fiction books about bookshops. I write poetry, short stories. I have a collection out called The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night. My first debut full-length poetry collection is called The Girl Aquarium and it's coming out next year. And I also have a series of children's picture books about a book-loving dragon called Franklin and his friend Luna. There are 2 of those out right now with the 3rd one coming out next year. Details of all the books can be found in the description box down below if you would like to go and find out more. So as I said, I was a bookseller for 10 years whilst pursuing my career in writing, and now I work full-time as a freelancer in the book industry. My main job is writing books, but I also do many other things as well. I write reviews, I give lectures and talks on a variety of topics. A main passion of mine is the history of fairy tales, and I run a series on this channel on the history of fairy tales. I also give talks on disfigurement and the representation of disfigurement in the media. I have a condition called EEC syndrome, which is ectrodactyly ectodermal dysplasia clefting syndrome. I've made videos talking about that, which I'll link down below, but it affects my body in a series of ways, including being born with syndactyly, which is where your fingers are all fused together, and ectrodactyly, which is where you're missing fingers. I spent a lot of time in hospital as a child having hands crafted for me. It also affects my eyes and my mouth. It affects my kidneys. I now have alopecia because of it. I've made videos talking about that, which I'll again link down below, and there's a chance that I could lose my eyesight, which I've also talked about in a video, which you can also find down below. As a queer person with a disfigurement, I'm very passionate about representation in the media. In my personal life, as well as all of the bookish things, I'm married to someone called Mr. M. That is not his actual name, but for privacy reasons, you may hear me refer to a person called Mr. M. Know that that is my husband, and we sometimes look after his mum's dog, who is called Lola, who looks like this. So you may sometimes see Lola appear in videos too. On this channel, I talk about what I've been reading, what I'm writing, representation of disfigurement, the history of fairy tales. I have a particular love for poetry as someone who writes it, and also someone who, as part of her job, judges literary prizes. So for instance, this year I was one of the judges of the Forward prizes for poetry, so I read a lot of it. I have a series where I try and debunk myths around poetry, try and make it less intimidating, because I know that a lot of people find it intimidating. I run a series called Dissect a Poem with Jen, where I do close readings of poetry and talk to you about poetry. I also run a podcast called Books with Jen, where I interview authors about their work. You can find those interviews in a series of videos on this channel, but you can also search for the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, the podcast app, SoundCloud, etc. if you prefer to listen to the episodes when you're out and about, taking your dog for a walk, or you're doing the dishes, cooking dinner, all of those things. As part of my job, I also run writing workshops. Details of those can be found down below, and I also offer editorial feedback to those who need help with their written work. On this channel, I also make a series of videos showing you behind the scenes of the publishing industry. So I've made videos talking with my editor, with the illustrator of my children's books, with my agent. I've made videos on how to get published, etc. I love taking you behind the scenes of things on this channel, be that behind the scenes of the publishing industry, behind the scenes of a book festival, taking you behind the scenes of a bookish adaptation. For instance, I have worked with Northern Ballet, taking you behind the scenes of adaptations of The Little Mermaid and of Jane Eyre. If you would like to know more about the freelance work that I do in the book industry, I make a series of weekly vlogs where I show you the work that I'm doing. I've also made a video entirely talking about my freelance career, which I'll link in the description box down below. There are many other things that I could say about myself, but I will leave it there for now. If you have any questions, you can leave those in the comments section and I'll answer you there. But I would love to hear from you. I would love to know who you are and where you're typing from, where you're watching from, what books you love to read, etc. Even if you don't often comment, please leave a comment on this video and introduce yourself. Don't be shy. I promise I won't bite. I would love to have a chat with you. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. Also, if you enjoy my content and you've been around a while and you would like to support me on Patreon, that would be lovely. Details of that are also in the description box down below, and there are tiers and perks and all things up for grabs over on there. Thank you for subscribing. I hope that you guys have a great week and I will speak to you very soon. Lots of bookish love. Bye.